When a massive marine mammal navigates the ocean, its flippers function as powerful, specialized paddles, perfectly shaped for pushing through dense water. Compare that to a bat. To take flight in the dark, it relies on an entirely different set of mechanics, using thin, stretched membranes to catch the air and change direction instantly. This visualization shows the internal skeleton of a human arm, a bat wing, and a whale flipper. On the surface, swimming, flying, and a human hand grasping an object share nothing in common. But underneath the skin, the bone layout is identical. Every one of these limbs possesses a humerus, a radius, an ulna, and a matching set of phalanges. For centuries, it was assumed that every species was created as a finished, independent product, fixed in its final form. But the anatomy hidden beneath the surface points to a shared history. To understand how a sterile planet produced millions of diverse species, we have to look at nature as a ledger of physical adaptations and examine the records left behind in the Earth. 4 billion years ago, the early Earth was a lifeless, volatile landscape. The atmosphere was a mix of water vapor, methane, and ammonia, constantly battered by extreme heat and violent lightning storms. Before biology existed, the necessary building blocks for life had to form. Scientists hypothesized that these complex molecules could arise naturally from the inorganic gases already present in the environment. This diagram shows S. L. Miller's 1953 experiment recreating these conditions. He trapped gases in a closed loop, heated them, and introduced sparks to simulate lightning. Days later, analyzing the collection trap, he found synthesized amino acids, the fundamental raw materials to build proteins. This result provided the first experimental proof for chemical evolution. It showed that the complex organic precursors of life could form spontaneously through the interaction of simple gases and energy. Sedimentary rock acts as a physical timeline. As new layers form over millions of years, they trap the hard parts of organisms. When we examine a cross-section of the crust, going deeper takes us further back into Earth's history. Because specific life forms only appear in certain layers, we can see that biodiversity has shifted across geological time. We find remains of creatures that no longer exist and observe new forms emerging in more recent sediments. This brings us back to those shared limb structures. Biologists call this homology. When different animals share the same anatomical blueprint, it indicates that they both inherited that structure from a common ancestor before their lineages moved in different directions. Darwin observed this divergence in the Galapagos Islands. This ancestral population of finches splintered into many varieties, each evolving a different beak. This adaptive radiation occurred again in Australia, where a single ancestral stock gave rise to a wide variety of marsupials. The fossil record and these anatomical links show that nature constantly molds and splinters existing biological blueprints to conquer new environments. A common skepticism is that evolution is too slow to witness during a human lifetime, that it is strictly a prehistoric event. But we have documented evidence from 19th century England. Before industrialization, local peppered moths were predominantly white, allowing them to blend into the light-colored lichen on the trees. When the Industrial Revolution began, coal smoke coated the forests in black soot. The white moths were suddenly exposed to predators against the dark bark, while a rare, dark-winged genetic variant suddenly gained a massive survival advantage. Because the dark moths were better at hiding in the polluted forest, they lived longer and produced more offspring. Within decades, the dark-winged moths became the dominant variety in the population. This environmental sorting is natural selection. It is the active mechanism where the environment determines which inherited traits are passed on to the next generation. The case of the peppered moth is a real-time demonstration of a mathematical filter. The environment dictates survival based on which traits are most advantageous at that specific moment. This process has no conscious plan. Evolution is a stochastic process, relying on chance genetic mutations that either succeed or fail when they meet a change in the environment. Today, our reliance on artificial chemicals is creating widespread environmental pressures. We are introducing new challenges to the biological world at a historically rare scale. Just like the dark moths, the few microbes with a random genetic resistance to our antibiotics are surviving the purge. Because we have eliminated their competition, these resistant strains multiply rapidly. Humanity has become a pervasive evolutionary pressure. By failing to account for the mechanics of natural selection, we are accelerating the development of the very organisms that threaten our future.